It's the Boiled Sports Handsome Hour. See, getting right into it this time. Boiler Dad is looking for his camera. He'll find. There he is.
Hey.
Oh,
Hi, guys.
He's distracted as always.
At least he's not shoving mouthfuls of candy into his mouth. Loud
It's all
candy.
jealousy if you don't have candy, you're jealous.
Individually wrapped M&Ms.
You want that? He can't really hear you when you talk way over there. That's the problem.
No, I was just gonna say you're fat.
Who was he talking to? Could have been anybody. Are we live?
We are live.
On. Why didn't we start with standard dead air intro? I like that a lot. That's our new thing this season.
Oh, it's delightful. It's delightful. It was an eventful one. It was an eventful weekend.
So you guys have dried out effectively. Either you feel sick. I know you said your voice was funny.
Talking about sobriety.
No, moisture levels. Anytime I can work the word moist in, I'm told that bothers people. So
I use it more when people say
shoes
that.
have only my shoes have only very recently dried. I perfectly planned it so that I brought my wet weather wear, and then we checked the weather beforehand, and Apple Weather was just like, yeah, sure, it'll be fine, don't worry about it. And that was great. It was awesome. And so I just came in my t-shirt and shorts, and and my mesh shoes, completely mesh shoes, and it's only recently just dried. It's great.
I'm several people have pointed out to me that Apple. The weather bug on iPhones is not good. And I was reporting to you guys before the game that it was supposed to be sunny or partly cloudy all day, chance of rain at 7:00. It's what it said. Literally as we walked to the stadium, that's what it said. And so we left anything that would be of use in the car. And so the story here, and I don't know if you caught this on TV. First, I heard your quick cast. I heard you say that. By the way, it's Jay Boladad and Anish. I appreciate this.
Hi.
I heard you say in the quickcast that they didn't do Enter Sandman at all. They actually did Enter Sandman twice. However,
enter and re-enter Sandman.
Because very good, very nice.
Re-enter Sandman.
But because of there was a delay to start, right? They wouldn't let us into the stadium,
right?
So by the time they got everybody in, normally the team comes out to that.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But everybody was already in the stadium. So by the time people are trickling in, they're doing the anthem. And everyone's lined up on the field.
They did it during the anthem?
Then that was very awkward.
Yeah.
And then they did it after that to the point where Enter Sandman was playing as they kicked off, and then the students had to sing the last verse of it, which was kind of cool, but that's not how they normally do it. So I don't know how that didn't come through on TV. Because you had it muted. That's how it didn't come through.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
As we were in line, so for those of you who don't know, the Boiled Sports East contingent went to this game. And, it was nice. J Money had the Money family there. It was great. And the extended Money family. It was a very nice trip. Awesome tailgate. Perfect. Virginia Tech fans were great. Like, the neighbors were fine. They were
like hearing that.
It was exactly.
Everybody was fairly friendly. And everything we're looking at is everything going into the game was great. We walk into the line. We get there just to the front, and they say no entry. You got to seek shelter.
There were people in. There were a couple thousand people in the stadium. They decided to stop letting people in, and they told us to seek shelter.
And so great, fair enough. Okay, fine. And then some of the stands were clearing and stuff like that. People were told to get in the hallways and stuff. And so we were just standing under a tree because that's what you do in an imminent lightning storm.
Seeking shelter, a tree.
Yeah, exactly.
A tree house, anything with.
Yeah. But then, under a lightning rod, and but 10 minutes later, they were like, "Okay, go back in."
Maybe 10 minutes. They're like, "Doors open, come on in."
Speaking of the weird timing of things like Enter Sandman and stuff, as we were getting checked in, as we were coming back, scanning our tickets again, which they didn't.
Now there's two Dowds to distract us when we're trying to talk. It's the 2-for-1 deal.
And so it's not so. First of all, they weren't even checking tickets. By the time we were entering, they were just said, letting people in.
Just open the gates. Just walk in.
And as we were walking in, at perfect timing, 5 till noon, 3 jets for a perfect flyover go over in perfect comedic
They were
timing.
right on time for the start of the game, but people were just entering the stadium. So nobody told the guys in the jets.
They didn't say, hey, wait, no, don't hold.
Why isn't this game filled up? What's going on? It was great. We were like, there's the flyover that should have happened, and we should all be in and starting.
So part of the issue on
that.
the reason I didn't understand what happened in pregame was Purdue's broadcast team on the radio, because I was listening to the radio and then I was watching TV and back and forth because I had to go to my daughter's soccer game. But they lamented. They're like, well, I guess there's not going to be Enter Sandman. Like they were just.
So they did it. It was a weird. Again, everything was weird about it. It didn't. And we were saying this. Like Virginia Tech fans were good. About half the stadium was full after the maybe just under half of the stadium was full after the rain delay, which we'll talk about. But like it completely neutralized their home field, any kind of home field advantage that they had, right? Because it was like, it completely distracted, only really 7 minutes of it. It was delayed. Enter Sandman wasn't great. And so it was like a perfect kind of opportunity to steal one, right? And we can talk about the actual football, but like everything outside of it, was set up for it. And then the rain started. And boy, let me tell you, like every story that people are telling about it, like it does not. I mean, this, and I'm so glad. So J Money Jr. was asking me this as we were completely drenched on our walk back to the car. But he was like, as we went back to our house for the house that we rented, which is a different story that we will add on later in this podcast.
There's a lot of layers.
But we were as we were walking back, just to kill some of the 3 hours that, was between the first quarter, he was saying, have you been in a football game ever like this? And the only thing I can remember was when me and my high school friend and my college roommate, Mark, we went to every home game out of the 4 years that we were there. The second game we were there, we went to in 2007, our freshman year. I think it was Eastern Michigan. It was
Northern Illinois or something.
It was Eastern, one of the states that borders Indiana. I'm pretty sure Eastern Illinois, maybe. It was like torrential downpour. They sent us home. They brought us back in. All of that. This one was the closest thing to rival the rain that was there for this one. Lightning was there. Lightning struck
hit the scoreboard.
So we could hear it, but we obviously couldn't see it. Like everybody watching on TV was more informed about the lightning than we were. But when lightning strikes a big electronic object not that far from you, it's pretty loud.
Well,
there was all these. So because you guys, the perspectives are pretty funny, because I was completely disconnected. You guys were actually in the place and under the deluge, but there were all these things. Like I get an update from somebody saying, hey, it looks like lightning struck the stadium and killed the power. And so they're talking, they're not even be able to turn the power back on. They may have a hard time even getting the game started again. And then one of you guys posted a picture later of the scoreboard with all these digi junk things on it, pixels on
breaks.
It. Yeah, and I'm sure there was some surging, power surging that was affecting.
Did you guys see NC State's board?
I heard it got hit. I didn't see
it. Like it's a brand new board, and it's like it's completely messed up.
Well, by the end of the game, after it restarted, it almost like reset itself. At least rebooted. The Virginia Tech one, it rebooted. They just unplugged it, plugged it back in.
Right, exactly.
It was recovering.
I'll say so my complaint, not complaint, but kind of, and this is right in Boilerdaled's alley. I think that, and Boilermaker 63 says they should have swapped Enter Sandman for Thunderstruck. It's very good. I'm convinced that game started because of network pressure. Boilerdaled's will nod along with this one, right? Okay. Because if you say you can't enter because it's dangerous and to seek shelter, then magically 10 minutes later we can enter and start the game. And then 45 minutes after that, it is dangerous, like legitimately dangerous. Then you did know it was coming. Then why did you start and play 10 minutes of football? Unless you had some belief, it might pass us. So maybe they thought it was going to sweep by.
And we watched whatever the first 5 minutes, and then we could, we were.
It was looking gnarly.
We had
lightning bolts.
We could see it coming, and we were like, but like what we should have done in hindsight, you don't realize this, but like we could see the storm and we were like, this is gonna be cold right now. We should have gone and beat the crowd, but like, we were sickos. And so we were just sitting in the rain without like ponchos or anything.
It was really wet.
Like morons.
But I don't know. It sounds like a poncho wouldn't have protected you.
That's what I said. I'm like,
it would have gotten in and it would have seeped
the wind was so bad.
Yeah.
It
was wild. I posted a thing on it was seriously like people were huddling. You can see in the video I posted on Twitter, like the reamers were like huddled into a corner, like, right next to it.
Yeah.
Soon after that clip, rain started coming in sideways for like 10 minutes.
Into the concourse. It was great.
That video you guys had of you kind of huddling in the concourse, and
so we went further down after that, and people were like hugging the walls because the wind was kind of blowing. We were soaked to the bones, and then wind was going through, so it was like not a great combination.
But it wasn't super cold, right? At least
no, but it
was getting cold though. But by the time we got back in for the restart, that's when I actually checked. It was like 65 when we went back later, so it had cooled down quite a bit, and I was really happy it wasn't raining or windy for the final 3.5 quarters, because that would have been really unpleasant in the dark. Yeah. So it was pretty nice after that, after 6:15.
When we were huddled, like across from us, there was a Virginia Tech, family feeding, like with a dad feeding his newborn. Newborn, I think son.
Tiny newborn with the ear protection on.
Headphones.
They probably thought, first day, great day for a first game, noon start, take the baby.
It was beautiful.
Perfect.
In the morning, like we left the cornhole boards out at the tailgate. We left the grill out. We were planning on.
Oh, really?
We
almost left the tent up. I was like, why don't you just leave your tent up? It's so
this
nice.
This is why I always default to just collapse it and toss it in the it in the truck or under the truck or whatever.
So one of the members of the Purdue broadcast team, I don't know who it was, said that it looked like there was a path where the rain would stay away. They were like, there's an alley and it would stay away for like 2 or 3 hours. And I looked at the map right after that and I was like, it was all this like pop-up junk and it was like violent, right? Like the colors on the map look really bad. And I was like,
the ones you don't see that often.
Yeah. So like your conspiracy theory about the network saying, let's go. I mean, I guess the number of Virginia Tech and Purdue viewers was too big to deny.
It was ESPN.
There were so many games on too.
I know, but you're right. They could have slotted something else. I thought you'd be all ready for a anti-ESPN sort of like blame.
Oh no, I'm always ready for anything anti-ESPN, and but I don't know. I mean, like,
I think
they could have easily. It was like the C or D team doing the game. You had Rod Gilmore. I've bitched about that already.
I don't think Rod Gilmore's C or D, despite what you think.
Man, he's awful. He is so bad.
He's bad.
Gosh,
he's not good.
And he's like, it doesn't matter which team. The funny thing, you read comments on the internet, Virginia Tech fans think that he hates them. Purdue fans think that he hates them. So
he does.
I guess that's
he likes
fair.
California.
Well, he does hate them. Exactly right. That's because
it's because he doesn't like them. So should we talk about the actual football, which was really weird, by the way, to see 10 minutes, like how much of the weird inconsistency, and I don't know where to start, but how much of the, Purdue looked great going up 17-0, and then as you outlined, 2 straight quarters of just complete ineptitude.
Right.
I mean, not inept. They weren't.
Offensively, they were. Defense was solid in the third quarter.
Was solid.
Front seven was solid the whole. I think the whole game. There were a couple pockets here and there where the pressure was being stopped.
They were clicking in that first quarter though, and I wanted you to give me a reason because why I kept asking that question about off the air about rain, and then I started again when we got on here was I wanted you to tell me, oh no, the ball was drenched and they couldn't blah blah blah, right? That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to have
it was most wet when they were doing well in the first quarter.
And the field on the restart may have been worse than it looked like from where we were, right? So we were kind of in the close to a corner section. By the time we came back, it was just a free for all, sit wherever. Right. It was fun sitting with the Purdue, with the Purdue faithful.
Yeah, we stayed in the Purdue section.
Shout out to all of you as we were huddling for our lives, spotting as J Money Jr. the second was fearing for his life. Somebody more than a couple of people were like, "Hey, Bullet Sports."
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was like, we love
That's
you.
great.
We love you. This is making us laugh in a situation like
My
this.
kid is screaming right now because he's terrified.
But the field may have been worse than apparently it looked worse on TV than it did in person just because of the angle.
The field was so slippery. In fact, it made the coaching staff make some weird decisions. That's what happens. I don't know if you know that when a field gets wet and dangerous,
and then you start to call a timeout to ice your own kicker. That
icing
was a
your own
one.
kicker. That's one I had not seen before.
Unless there was
well, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
Guys on the field?
Know what happened? No, there were 10 guys on the
Did they not
field.
know the play?
There were
Did they
10
not know
on the
play?
field.
One was running.
And Max Clare, the tight end who plays on that special teams unit, it's the one error he made that day. He did not get on in time. Yeah.
So they were short a man.
They were short a man.
Okay. That's a little more excusable.
Which is legal because
yes.
I think my mom asked the question, are they allowed to do that? Yes.
Fair
you can
question,
play with
Mom.
8. You can play with 6 if you'd like.
My team's on the field.
My team. Everybody's here that's playing.
Yeah. These guys have earned it, and they're out there.
Right.
Well, that and the 4th down call, okay? That and we shouldn't. I know we're starting negative, but this is a good week. This is a good outcome.
It'll swing positive.
But that one just stuck with me, and I'm not as much. I don't even think as you guys about like questioning calls. However, we're sitting there in the stadium, and I just kept saying to Anisha, I was like, but I don't. You go for it on 4th down, or
on the 30. On the 30.
But when you go for it on 4th down in games, it's you either have to. It's late and you're desperate.
Right.
You're trying to turn the tide of a game where you're getting slapped around. Like if Virginia Tech had done it down 17-0. Okay, I could see there's a reason, right? But when you're up, it was 17-7. You're up 10 on your own 30, and your defense is playing pretty well, and your punter's been punting the ball. Like I don't get it. I can't see a reason when the downside is exactly what happened.
Like keep playing tennis, right? Keep playing tennis and wait, just ping the ball back and forth and wait for somebody to make a mistake, right?
And then the next chance, didn't they have a 4th from like the 37 on the other side of the field?
Side, yes.
It goes to punt, and it goes in the end zone.
They netted
17 yards.
Yeah. That stuff.
Just go for it.
And I made a joke, and I don't know if it was to you guys or somebody via text. I think it may have been Handel Jones, actually, who's on here. Thank you, Handel, for being here. Like I said, we've become team punts a lot all of a sudden, where we're like, it doesn't matter if you're on the 45, it doesn't matter if you're on the 39, we're punting.
Iowa.
Huh?
Iowa.
Yeah, all of a sudden we're
no,
Iowa,
but a more dynamic offense, right? And honestly, if the decisions were consistent, it would have driven us less mad at the time. If it was like, yeah, sure, we're going for it every time, we're punting every time, or if it's over 50-yard line or not, like if there is some sort of semblance there,
over the 30, you go
exactly. But so now swinging it. Actually, let's stick with a little bit of constructive criticism here. On TV, you can really watch line play really well, just because of the way that the TV thing is broadcast. In the stadium, it's actually a little hard to notice. You notice everybody else succeeding, but you're not watching, you don't have that perfect kind of down the line. Yeah, exactly. But what you do notice is secondary. And you notice details of the pass coverage when you're there live.
This was bugging a knee.
And whoa, buddy, man. I mean, the bad angle. We were so lucky. It was so strange that if you looked at the QB ratings for the first week.
Wells isn't good, guys.
Wells was at the top of the list for week 1.
He's so bad.
Boy, he is bad. Purdue
He's not good. He misses on 1 out of every 4 throws. He misses so badly that you're near a catastrophic, like pick 6, right? He's going to throw it just some place.
Or he might injure someone in the 3rd row. Because he throws some balls that are just they're not catchable. They're way out of play. It's like
Purdue won. Purdue was put in the chance to win because of that, because of the quarterback kind of ineptitude, Absolutely. Or at the very least, had a chance to.
So I don't do this very often. I don't even know if I want to do it right now. And I said I may talk about one of my biggest problems with the game, and you gave the perfect segue there.
Yeah, let's do it.
The defensive backfield. I never like calling specific players out for this way, just like saying that. I don't want to say what the stereotype is. There's a guy out there to me who looks so lost, and he's playing all the time, and he's getting picked on in both games.
He's
a veteran, and it's killing me watching it. He looked in so many times where he shouldn't have looked in. He bit the wrong. He came up in the wrong coverage when they were playing zone. I was like, what's going on here? I know he's a little out of position because he's playing more corner.
But so
John Baker has a comment down below, though, even better than Greg's.
Yeah,
but
there's some violence.
Basically, what it means is you're not the only one who saw it.
Okay, I know.
And so
I just don't. I don't see. Here's the thing. So many guys transferred, guys. I'm really sensitive about this right now because so many guys jumped. Right? He stayed. I'm glad he stayed.
Yes.
But I'm watching him play, and I'm like, what has happened? Like he looks really out of sorts. And is that what you were starting to talk about too?
I mean, yeah, and the downside of playing receivers like that with so much space is that like you have to be so disciplined with your angles that you take, right? Like it has to be like, and you have to be coordinated with your angles, not just individually disciplined, but you have to know. There were a couple instances though where like they were intentionally getting on the outside because they knew they had help coming from the inside, even if it allowed an extra 2 or 3 yards. Like you could tell that it was, it was a part of the in coverage scheme again, not necessarily part of the kind of drawn up spots there. But there are certain rules with angles that you have. They were missing on these angles almost every time. And it was just like, man, a better quarterback, like Kansas's quarterback, would have just like completely diced up. I was watching Kansas highlights.
He'll dice up about anybody.
I am a Leipold fan now.
Yeah.
But like, would have absolutely, come to, just carved up the secondary.
Yeah, and that's to me so I think there's lots of reasons to think. Okay, there's signs of progress. I mean, the offensive line play, like you said, Anish, is
great,
excellent, truly excellent. They were in the fourth quarter.
We said that was one of our biggest concerns.
Right,
we said that was one of our.
We all did. We all agreed. Boy, they looked great in that fourth quarter. Just like I was just impressive. Like it's so interesting the way this offense runs versus the way Brahms' offense ran when they ran the ball, which is very. It didn't happen very often, right? But especially right up the middle, this offense will open these lanes that from TV you can't really see them. It looks like the guy's just making a great play, and then they'll show the other camera angle, and you're like, "Holy moly, you could have driven a truck!"
Like we had a perfect, we had that exactly. We had that perfect angle of the Tyrone Tracy, the touchdown, and. Tyrone, the line opened it perfectly, and Tracy did not hesitate. I mean, he's very different from Maccabee, right? They're very different runners. They're both fairly slight. Neither one of them is a bruising back, right? But Tracy is a straight line decision making, like speed demon. Yeah. And you don't want, and Maccabee is creative, right? Yeah. Maccabee is kind of that singular creative type guy. Yeah. Tracy on that one, though, everything worked perfectly. It was beautiful. And we had the perfect down the line angle for it. It was great.
So is there anything you guys see, because you talk about the development of different plays that you saw, defensive errors or misplays. Is there anything else you guys see on it can be positive or negative that you didn't catch first week on TV that you were really cued into?
I will tell you. So two things immediately come to mind, and then I have some fun stats, and I know with the boiler downs, you guys love my stats when I come with them. Actually, I know one Dowd is a fan of numbers. The other one is less so. No,
I draw pictures. I don't.
The two things that seeing this team in person, kind of brought it more to life for me. First of all, I really like Hudson Card's field vision and his decision making. Like he goes through his reads like with I don't always know the right football terms, right? But like the discipline with which he goes through all his reads. Like I feel like one of the things with AOC would be sometimes he made great plays, he made the most of his ability, right? But he would look for a guy and then sometimes he'd miss an outlet. Like he just would not see them open, right? And you'd be like, throw it to that guy right there. And he'd be looking down the field, right? Card will look 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he'll dump off to somebody.
Right.
Or he'll take off. I really like I just feel very comfortable and confident in him managing this team, right? And we've barely seen anything yet, but
we were talking about this too. Like it was clear that he had been given greater leash to run this game.
Yep. Or he said,
and that to me is one of those signs of progress that I really like. Both of those things you guys just said. being able to tuck the ball, being more apt to do it. He took a couple hits early that kind of bothered me, but I'm like, they were good little 7-yard runs. But I'm like, he's got to bust one of these open. And it's going to be a lot of fun when he gets out in the open. Somebody said he played slot receiver until his junior year, sophomore year in high school. And it shows when he runs, when he tucks it, he looks excellent. But the thing that I like about those two things you guys just said, one, him going through his reads and the lack of mistakes that are seemingly being made on offense. This is a big departure from what we saw in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Discipline seems to be a thing on this team. And I think that's even going to get sharper and better. I think the lack of turnovers and dumb penalties. I mean, virtually one of those penalties, holds. By the way, guys, if you watch the pressers, that's not an NFL. That's not an NCAA penalty.
But even if it were the NFL, he dove and grabbed his leg. He didn't dive and crash into his leg.
And simultaneous, too.
And it was a very important penalty. Remember, that's the thing that kept the drive going, and they scored 7.
Next play.
If you hit him up high, here's what happens. If you come with that speed and you hit him up high, you run the risk, if he's throwing, that he's off bounds, and you hit him and you drive him into the turf, and now you get a roughing the passer because you followed through, and it would look worse, and they would call that. So what do these guys do? They do that dive reach because they know maybe I can.
And they review it to that point. They reviewed it for a personal foul, and going high would have got him the personal foul.
Absolutely.
In addition to the 15 yards, in addition to the 15-yard completion, right?
Right.
Well, Walters was out on the field, man. I can't.
He was pissed at that one. That was like legit. He was really angry. He was still when they talked about it today. Today at the weekly presser, he was still mad about it, and he said, "I didn't get an explanation that made sense to me." And you could tell his tone changed. He was not happy about that call at all.
He was out on the field, furious, demanding to talk to them after the touchdown was scored.
Right.
Like
and,
he was
and
so mad.
He shows no
pushing off his coaches who were like trying to stop him. Like
it's so weird because otherwise, again, these are things you notice. Like, again, I was watching him because he's the new guy. He is so calm, and he also strangely keeps himself out of positional huddles or like defensive side or offense defense huddles. He allows his assistants to kind of go out.
Just was one
and do it right. And so exactly. He kind of empowers his assistants and makes the kind of larger decisions, which is interesting. Like
Anish or Jay, one of you guys had a point on a sidebar conversation. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was kind of funny. That talked about he blends so much on the sideline, you can't even tell he's the head coach at times.
I mean, his demeanor on the sideline is so calm, and so you can't exactly like with Brom. With most head coaches, Brom, we're saying Brom because this is who we've watched the most for the last 6 years, right? Like he's out front, he's the one barking, he's in every huddle,
back and forth.
Exactly. You can. He's the captain, right? Like,
and he was always dressed a little bit differently too, right?
And he's the quarterback, right? He's a quarterback. There's a quarterback mentality of the thing, right?
Yeah.
Like. You can tell Walters is a member of a team, right? Like he approaches it like a DB. He approaches it like a.
To interrupt you there, did you know that Walters was a QB all the way up to when he got recruited to college?
Yeah. That's why they always say in practice he'll throw drills, and they're like that guy can still spin it. It's pretty interesting to see.
He's jacked, bro. In person.
Well, listen. I've heard enough about his muscles in the last 2 days from my daughter and my wife. Like, holy moly.
Jacked.
Let's settle down.
And let me give you
my other guy that jumped in. You said, did anything being there live? And maybe this wasn't specific about being there live. Maybe you felt this way too. Tyrone Tracy, man. Whew. Man, is that a nice element to have.
Yeah. The weird thing to me, he must have never been confident last year because when he plants his foot now, he flies.
Did he get chances last year?
Not
Did he
really.
get chances? I feel like he never played.
Well, he played, and he get like one touch every 2 games. It felt like,
but it was because Maccabee was the backup, and Maccabee jumped Tracy. Now we have,
but Tracy really was kind of still.
It's not him.
That's not him.
This guy. That's not Tyrone Tracy.
That's not him.
No, that's not.
No, but they
probably Justin Siller. They use his picture for everything.
Shout out Justin Siller, man. Guys naming dudes. Shout out.
I just remember a graphic once where Purdue had a new quarterback who was wearing Siller's. It was like when they got Etling, and they had a bunch of Purdue quarterbacks on the screen, and the number 5 quarterback. We paused it and we looked, and we're like, "That's Justin Siller. That's
right
for Danny Etling. That's perfect. It
was so great." Anyway, sorry.
The
go on.
producer
About Tracy.
couldn't catch it. Yeah. Well, there are a lot of requests. By the way, you got a couple requests for ISOs today.
We'll get a couple ISOs later.
And
let's finish
look
talking
forward
about
to
the
it.
game. Well, yeah, let's finish.
So let me ask you guys, can because I mentioned this in my post game, and I want to hear your take just because you guys both have opinions that are good and well thought. So I don't feel much reason to adjust my 5-win total right now. I don't see anything that I'm like,
You got one.
I can tell you though. I can tell you, and I'm not kidding around. You guys know I can be a little negative in the heat of battle.
Only offline though. To be entirely fair, you save your best for the broadcast.
Oh, it's all for you guys. You guys have to hear it. And
about Tracy, he had 28 receptions, 17 rushes, and 1 kick return.
So he was used a little bit, right? But you don't even remember it. That's kind of the point.
Right.
He never felt comfortable. And so you never saw his speed.
His biggest game, which I don't remember, it says that Purdue played Louisiana State. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I don't think I thought that was canceled. Yeah. I think they canceled that game.
I don't.
This has happened a couple times. Purdue canceled
had a good game
an Auburn game one year.
Does Louisiana State have a football team?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
They don't like football in the South.
Again, for me, the things that stood out. I mean, Jenkins and
Jenkins looks great.
What's his name?
Scourton.
The other,
Nick Caraway Scourton.
Yeah. It's not Caraway Scourton. Like just incredible. Like honestly, in person, it's so fun to watch them.
Scourton.
Those two. That by the end of the year, that's going to be a problem for other teams.
Well, it is, and they're so different. The way they approach the game, the way they get after people, it's pretty fun. Like Scourton had a spin move that led directly to a stack. It was so much like a Dwight Freeney spin. Like he put that dude. The guy was like air waving, right? He didn't even get much of a hand on him. It was awesome, and he was on top of the quarterback, way in the backfield, really quickly.
Scourton threw some shade at Virginia Tech. Did you see that in the postgame? One of the Gold and Black videos? I don't know if this is true or if he just felt like dancing on him a little bit because he's like, they didn't seem into it. They didn't seem like they wanted to be there after the delay. And I was like, oh man, you just want to poke at them a little, which I kind of like.
But those two are a dynamic duo. Both of them will play in the NFL. Like they are real. And so now
Isn't it wild to you guys that I mean, I know Big George was there, but Big George didn't wreak havoc in the backfield, right? It was all like he's going to overpower quadruple teams. The den of defensive ends thing that made Joe Tiller defenses so good, right, was these guys were blitzing and they were terrifying to other teams. They're like, okay, got a game plan. Yeah. We got to figure out what to do with Colton. We got to figure out what to do with oh, dang it. Now I can't think. Huh? Chike. Sorry.
And I mean,
and now all of a sudden you've got two that look like they're going to take their seat in the den.
I definitely, I mean, like that was one of the other was somebody that we isolated last week to be put in a kind of wrong position was OC Brothers. He was where he should have been. I mean, the front seven was really impressive.
Man, those OC Brothers, those two guys, I love them.
Both of these.
You remember that last year, right? The first time I heard that name, I was like, wow, a pair of brothers are playing. That's great.
I don't know.
Brothers.
I don't know why he doesn't go by Octavius.
Octavius is an awesome name.
That's a great name.
I'd go by Octavius, and I'd make people Octavius. Not ever
get my PhD.
It's so good.
Doc Ock. I mean, yeah, he was great. And then, I mean, and to me, the attention that Deion Burks is getting, like it's a thing.
They're doing everything to take him away, and that's what Walter said. It opened opportunities for other people. That's something like, honestly, I couldn't pick up how much stress they were putting towards Burks, but I was like, there's a reason that it's not opening up.
Yeah. And the best throw of the night was that one you mentioned it, I think on the quickcast, that over the shoulder to Sheffield.
Oh yeah, down the left side. Yeah.
What just a perfect throw, which kind of had to.
It led to nothing.
Sheffield's hands have been lately, but no, it led to nothing. But the
thing that was so wild to me about that bomb happens. You're like momentum,
right?
Then they're like boom, 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 done. This drive is over.
But that's the flip side of this being different than last year's offenses, right? Last year you're aggressive at all times. With discipline comes maybe a narrower band, right? Where you might not, at least in the way that the offense is and defense is right now, you're not going to have explosions, but they're raising the floor. right? And so, like, maybe you'll have less boom or bust, but, ideally it's going to be a little bit more consistent.
So let me ask you guys, because I've been thinking a lot about this, and I don't know if we have any answer to this right now based on what we've seen. And it's new. Everything's new. But do you guys see Card obviously has this bag of tricks that seems to be kind of kept into a small, like a very, I don't want to say cautioned, but very thoughtful box. He doesn't seem to be doing anything that you're like, well, he's gonna take that risk. He's gonna throw the ball through a small window. He's gonna try to beat a guy on a run. Even when he gets out there, he's like, okay, I'm gonna try to get down now because I know I could get hurt.
He's valuable, yeah.
He knows that I'm sure the coaches are saying, hey, we really need you there. Do you guys see him developing this season, not next season? Because I think you've got at least at least a 2-season starter, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. But do you see it happening this season where people start saying, not only is he really good, but he's dangerous? Or do you say, well, this year he's a game manager and next year he develops and kind of blossoms, that he and Harrell actually get the rapport and they start doing some things that are more exciting?
Honestly, consistency, like developing more consistency like this, like would be perfectly fine by me. I don't need him to be, like what was, we were talking about comparing him to AOC, like AOC's accuracy. That was one thing that where Card was hitting his targets, like hitting his receivers, but they were a little, the catch radius on them was all pretty wide. So that was noticeably different. AOC's one of the most accurate quarterbacks we've seen this, the last 15 years, right?
Right.
But for Card, again, just calm, staying healthy, like making decisions quickly and decisively. I'll take that, man. I'm perfect.
Can I do some fun with stats for you guys?
With numbers, BS Analytics desk.
I've been the BS
Analytics desk has been on fire.
So
I don't know if you saw that one.
We're gonna play a little. It's starting to feel like SportsCenter, right? Where they have the stupid games or shit. Plus minus or whatever they'll call it, right? Good thing, dumb thing. Sponsored by Gillette. Speaking of sponsors,
Homefield Apparel
and Boiler Dad are wearing a lovely shirt.
The only reason J Money is not is because we were matching again. The second week.
So I'm wearing a Poppins Pub. I don't know if our friend, I don't know if Poppins is here, but
the purveyor.
I haven't seen him yet.
I haven't seen him yet. He'll be very disappointed to miss me wearing his shirt. But you can go over to Homefield Apparel. You can enter Boiled 23.
Yes,
Boiled 23.
Correct.
To get 15% off your first order. They probably sent us a read for this week, but it goes right into the bin. So you can get yourself a great T-shirt or many great T-shirts or long sleeve T-shirts. You can also go to AJ's on Vine on campus and eat. And Will has been explaining, if you want the physique that you deserve,
yes,
then you should go to AJ.
Exactly. Treat yourself.
It's really that simple. So the Boiled Sports Analytics desk are brought to you by AJ's and Homefield Apparel. So we'll start with a not so great. Purdue's third down conversion rate this year is 34.5%, 10 of 29. Okay, but they're 1-1, right? But here we'll go back up now. In the red zone, Purdue's been in the red zone 6 times, and they've scored 5 touchdowns.
There you go.
Okay, that's we can't argue with that. I'll take that. 5 out of 6 touchdowns every time. Okay, here's another one that I thought was interesting, and I'm going to need you guys to help me figure this one out because Purdue allowed only. Do you know this? Purdue allowed only 11 rushing yards. Mm-hmm. Lowest.
Yes.
Opponent rushing total. Road. It said on the road, which is amazing. That means somebody rushed for fewer than that in a home game, I guess. Probably an IU game.
Indiana State or something like
Indiana
that.
State.
I think it's going to be.
And Virginia Tech only completed 18 passes. Okay, so they had 18 passes completed and 11 rushing yards, and yet they had 19 first downs. Does that mean every pass went for a first down the 11 yards got them a first down? How's that even possible? Help me understand that. How do you have 19 first downs, only 11 completions, and 18 completions and 11 rushing yards?
Well, you guys saw the game. That's what it felt like, right? If Wells was either missing horribly or getting a 13-yard chunk.
And then we didn't know for the last drive if they, and apparently a lot of people didn't, because ESPN pulled it from the broadcast. ESPN, the ACC network, apparently pulled it
Goodbye.
from the broadcast.
Bye-bye.
So all of my homies couldn't watch it. Like they said that they couldn't. They had to follow
on the app.
GameCast. So I don't know if that was a problem.
No, it was on
a common
ESPN
problem.
3.
ESPN.
We were watching on computer being broadcast on the big screen where I was.
And so, but for the last drive, Virginia Tech pulled their quarterback to the backup quarterback, say, "Go win us the game." Cold quarterback coming off the bench.
So that guy transferred in,
and he was instantly more dynamic.
He was much better.
He was more dynamic. Think about what they did. I think they killed their season.
I think that was well. So I did look into this. What's his name? Brent Pry. Yeah. He said during the week he was going to use both quarterback. He did Danny Hope. He's like, we're going to play both guys.
I'm only going to use it at the absolute last minute.
So he must have gotten down to the final drive and thought, oh, shit, I said I was going to use him. You can go in now. Like it's Pee Wee football. Like what a time to put that guy in.
Well, did you see Wells standing next to the coach? That was pitiful. I don't know if you guys could see that in the stadium where you were.
I'm still okay, Coach. No, I couldn't.
He's like just sitting there, just like looking at him. I was like, wow. I'm pretty sure Wells is a captain. That's why I'm like, man, this is what starts tearing the team apart.
Yep.
Right? I mean, not only do you lose a game that maybe you thought you should have won at home.
You should start the other guy.
He's not good enough.
Start the other guy.
Oh, he's definitely not good enough.
Yeah, and all the Virginia Tech fans on Twitter that I saw, they all agree that the backup.
People in the stadium were telling us, the guy next to us who knew a lot of Tech fans was like, they were expecting those interceptions. They were like, this guy, this is the way he is. He's inaccurate.
I mean, the Thieneman one. Hey, again, speaking of emerging superstars.
Always trust an Anthrop is now always trust a Thieneman. I think you just keep bringing them through.
Yeah, bring them through. Exactly. Next.
I mean, he's going to have 12 interceptions by my math.
Right. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's the analytics desk has all over that. The first to break that
times 4. So he's gonna break 45 for his
career
easily.
Can we get the sister to play for Purdue also?
I hope so.
I'll take it.
That'd be great.
Yeah. That's no. I think Thieneman leaving Purdue with 45 to 48 interceptions is probably
that
not
range. Anything but within that range.
In that 45 to 48.
Well, so I also looked into. I don't know if you guys were looking, and they did ask what the hell, because you know what I thought about, like that kind of delay. Imagine Purdue's famously terrible visitors locker room.
Yeah,
being in there for 5 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what you'd do if you were at Purdue. I think you'd probably say we're taking the team over to Mackey or something. Like we got to take them somewhere.
Yeah.
But they said that I saw that
they're playing hangman.
They're playing hangman. They're playing spades. Apparently, they said that they walked around they took their gear off and walked the concourse.
Walked around the concourse.
So you might have seen some football players walking around the concourse.
Yeah.
I also heard
thankfully none of them got struck by lightning.
Right.
Yes.
I heard Walters specifically was asked, and he did. There was a rumor floating around. Never trust a Knucklehead Central rumor, but somebody was saying he didn't want to come back out. We heard that during the game, and he specifically said, "No, I wanted to play." I'm sure he said, "I don't want to go out there if it's standing water on the field." But he basically the story was as long as they got done by 4 a.m. and could get on their plane, they were fine. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, that's the thing. He was so different than all the stories you were hearing. There was so much crap. You guys might find this hard to believe. I don't know if you guys were on X all the internet.
No, don't tell me.
Yeah,
favorite new app, X.
Yeah, it's what the kids are using.
The kids are using
for all the 80-year-olds. Gosh, I don't know if I want to say that. There's a hilarious interaction today on X, Twitter, where
Zwitter.
So I said, how could you not? So me throwing the grenade out there. How could you not smile? How could you not enjoy this watching Coach Walters address the team after the game? And someone said he curses a lot. And I actually heard people outside of Twitter say that, people that I knew said that. And I said,
did Brom.
How dare he?
Exactly. This is so do football coaches. And then somebody said, all the Karens are going to jump on this. And a woman that's older than me named Karen jumped in and said, I didn't like it at all. And I was like, and I just laughed out loud. I was like, oh, her name's Karen. That's so good. And then she went into reasons why this wasn't to her liking. And I said, ma'am, sure, I'd love for everybody to be Tony Dungy. I mean, but guess what? In football, this is not how it is. And I'm sure Karen hasn't spent a bunch of time in a locker room. Who knows? Maybe she has.
Maybe she's a manager.
Maybe she was a manager. I can tell you the players were reveling in hearing Walters.
I mean, like, and after the game, I'm sure that they may have shown a little bit of it, but he got the Gatorade dump. He was hyped after the game. Everybody around him was jumping up and down. We saw that Babinski made the trip in that video. After a game, so we had a long day. I mean, like it was an ordeal.
Yeah, that's tough, man.
And then I didn't have as long of a drive. Mine was about 5 hours. But J Money back to the East Coast compound. That's a drive. Like that is over that 5.5.
Wait. Did you say you drove that night?
No, next day.
No.
It was a long weekend.
Gosh,
all of this, and then you see that little trailer that they put on Twitter. And it's like, I told J Money, hey, show this to J Money Jr. Like all of a sudden because he joined us for the second half as well, because he's a sicko. It was just the three of us because the sane people left. That was fine.
Yeah.
But the three of us were there. And it's like, this is a core locked in memory. You were there for the one of the more like memorable road game and Brian Walters' first win.
And it's a win. It's a win. They're not afraid of the weather.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's a tough day. Anish, it's exhausting. You left with a horse thing. You guys were soaked to the bone, all that. But how much worse is it to drive that long drive back, lost. Jay? And you guys have both been through this after that bull crap plus a loss. What am I doing with my life, right?
After being up 17-0, let's say.
Yes. I think the first Big Ten road game of the Jeff Brom era, and I did travel to it, and it was the 14-12 Rutgers loss.
That wasn't the first road game
I'm
of the
pretty sure
era.
It was close.
No.
It was close. No, the first Big Ten road game of the era.
I'm
pretty sure.
I think it may be the first Big Ten road game.
It was rough, man. Yes, I'm very glad.
But that was not 7 hours.
No, but this one would have been. But now it's a core memory for J Money Jr. And so now
we're getting a lot of requests. Okay, let's just get to this. We're getting a lot of requests to talk about Nebraska. So let's just
ISO for J Money.
Well, I don't even have that much to say because I was not able to see any of it because we were in a hurricane. But I told you guys, I remember before the season messaging our group chat and saying Nebraska starts at Minnesota and then at Colorado. Is it too much to ask for them to start 0-2? And you guys, I think all of you were like, well, it's probably too much to ask for 0-2 because
I didn't think it was too much.
Not too much to ask, but it was reasonable to think they might win one of those games, right?
Sure.
The fact that they found a way to choke on that Minnesota game made all my dreams start to come true. And then I bet money on Colorado covering because I was very confident all week that they were going to. It was their first game in Colorado. It was a sellout. They haven't had people in that stadium in years, and people are excited.
Excited.
I'm glad you're so excited for this.
Yeah.
And there was no doubt they were going to kill them. You know why? It's not because Sanders has everything figured out at Colorado.
Right.
Why do you think it is? It's because Nebraska sucks. And one thing,
and this is what I keep saying, old habits die really hard.
Well, and here's
this is that same team. It's the same defense, and they showed it, right?
Right. You and others can rightfully say, I don't like where college football is going. I don't like firing a team. I don't like changing. I don't like the way that certain coaches are handling this.
Yeah.
However, that's one way you can do it currently. And another way you can do it is you can be Matt Rule, where you think, I'm just going to, my wisdom and my just gravitas is going to change the culture here. And I mean, the write-ups so far are that they look just as befuddled and lost as they, like, you start reading things and you just read a few layers deep in the media about them. And it's like, they're already questioning. So I have a question for you guys and even and the folks on the side here. What, just because these are fun to think about, what would Rule have to do to get fired in year 1? 2-10? Is it possible? Is it possible?
It would
It's
have to be
possible.
winless. It would have to be winless.
See, I agree.
Because rule was
One
it's
win.
70. Isn't it like $70 million?
77 million or 74
and
million.
in year one at Baylor, he only won one game, but he was taking over
The same
Baylor. I mean, like he was taking over that Art Briles situation.
I mean, it's not Baylor. Baylor's a better program, to be clear. But Nebraska thinks that they're different. Well, Baylor would have patience in that situation and did. And that makes sense because any sane, rational person would. But Nebraska they still think what they think. And it's amazing. Now, they're playing Northern Illinois this week, right? So I firmly believe, I actually believe it now, that the fun is going to come to an end here. I think they're going to win. They're favored by like 11 or something. But Northern Illinois is not a bad program.
They're not good right now.
J Money.
They're not good right now.
Anish Swami from BoiledSports.com. Is a quick question.
Yes.
What if they do lose, though?
Oh, my whole body's warm just thinking about it. I feel like
I think they're going to beat the hell out of them.
They are. No, that would actually, the funniest thing will be they win like 16-13. Oh my God, it would be so great. Because
it's even better than losing.
It would be almost better.
Because it gives them enough to say, "Oh, we're going to be good. Everything's okay. We won."
And
see?
You barely won. But then the back of their heads are like, "Oh,
that's Andy Day that has the best point." And this is what I saw, and it was in my subconscious. Northern Illinois lost to Southern Illinois this week.
Yes. I mean, we all know the statewide rivalry.
14-11. But Andy Day's point was Colorado. It's a good line. Colorado might be good, but Nebraska is definitely bad.
Right. That's a great line. Well, guys, you talked about something, and this is another request we had for an ISO, and I'm going to use a segue, and you guys can do what you want with it. But, Jay, you talked about
I've already pulled it up.
Dion came in, and he decided he was going to get rid of a bunch of players. Well, another coach in the Big Ten used a similar tactic.
Colorado coach, by the way.
Exactly. All this is all intertwined really weirdly. Okay.
Mel Tugger?
Mel Tugger. And what do you think about what's going on at Michigan State and how the admins are handling it?
What's his
Mel
tagline?
Tugger. I can't stop.
I can't do it right now.
So here's the thing. Here, ISO. We're calling Kobe Bryant's calling for the ISO right now.
Who among us has not tried to have phone sex with a rape survivor? I mean, let he who has not done that cast the first stone.
By the way,
I'm doing it right now, guys. Is that weird?
Did you see his statement that he put out today, where he's clearly just angling for the buyout, where he said that she was basically just trying to paint him as another Nasser? How freaking dare he? Like, this program, and by the way, hey, you know who's taking over for him as a special assistant to the interim coach?
The guy with no problems, no baggage, no issues.
The last guy that they allowed, violent offenders, sexual offenders, like DUIs, absolutely ran the program into the ground. It's just like, and now he's going to come back. First of all, they let D'Antonio retire rather than fire him or force him out.
But now he's a public servant. I don't know if you saw that. He said, "Whatever you need, I'll do. I'll be there."
And so he is coming back and there's a real good chance that he gets named after Mel Tucker eventually gets fired. By the way, the interim after the athletic director, I think the interim athletic director or maybe the interim university president, that's what it was, after the Nasser scandal. You know how comparatively, so here, let's compare these situations. I feel like we can compare these situations. USA Gymnastics, headquartered at Michigan State, with the Penn State scandal. The Penn State scandal, the athletic director, assistant athletic director, and was it the university president, got jailed. Like they actually got indicted for crimes based on this. What happened Penn State had to pay over $100 million directly to the families. What happened to Michigan State? The president, who was retiring anyway, got filled in the interim president.
He had his package still, right?
was, oh, by the way, John Engler, the former governor of Michigan. No wonder that they have been protected from every sort of consequence, and it's always been, first of all, it's girls. It's girls and campus women that have been abused, and that's why, one reason why. But the second is because the state, the literal governor of the state, is a Michigan State alum, took over the presidency, used all of his lobbying power to protect Michigan State, and now we're here again.
Here's the weird thing, Anish. I went and looked because my memory is not great. I'll just say here's what I can do. I can look at someone, look at a situation and say something bad happened and I don't remember what it is. Okay. With Michigan State, I was like, I want to look really specifically at the real tangible problems, the things that have happened that have been brought up where you've had law enforcement and lawsuits and all this. Since 2010, there are 8 major cases at Michigan State. And almost every time it involves a coach either saying, oh, we didn't know, brushing something under the rug, law enforcement not doing enough. I mean, I am perplexed by it. Multiple players in the same sexual assault multiple times. This stuff is hideous, guys.
It's the football program, it's the basketball program, it's everything. And oh, by the way, let's get a quote from Tom Izzo, the press's best friend on the morality of college sports right now. The first person that they go to every time. Are we kidding? I am not kidding here. This is not a fake take. This is not for any of this. I genuinely believe that all of the athletes should have their scholarships honored or have a free transfer out, and Michigan State athletics should be shut down for 5 years because it is now 15 years or 10 years of this. I mean, it's like we are acting like the USA Gymnastics scandal wasn't headquartered by an assistant professor at Michigan State. Yep. Like, what are we doing here? And so Mel Tucker, who we are not afraid of anymore, screw Mel Tucker.
Yeah, screw Mel Tucker.
It is just like, how many times does this have to happen at the same school? I mean, and so that is my first point. Shut Michigan State down. I am not joking. I'm not going over the top here. I mean this literally. Shut them down for 5 years. The second point is that this is why you don't root for the conference. This is what it is risky enough to say put all of your loyalty behind one school, but when they have shown there are plenty of schools out there that have shown plenty of ability to embarrass you on like a human level, it's enough to put your faith in Purdue, right? But when you say go Big Ten, you're saying go Michigan State, go Ohio State wrestling, go Iowa.
Michigan had a major problem.
Football. Iowa. Go Penn State, go Michigan, like. You go Northwestern at this point.
Northwestern, exactly.
I mean, so at this point, what are you doing? And we make all of our SEC jokes, and it just matters, and they're willing to sweep things under the rug. Frankly, the Big Ten is the center of absolute immorality in this. Just the ability to use the platform the joy that college athletics gives us to harm other people.
Yep.
Big Ten is number one.
And use it for cover.
Big basically. 10 is number one. Go Conference.
So here's this is the whole thing. I love that point.
Oh gosh, I'm done. I'm done. Oh,
it's so good though. No, the last point you made though is saying, okay, the SEC, we all give it a hard time, whatever. SEC, I think the documented problems are these. These are what we've seen over and over. The academic standards don't matter, and there's money being exchanged. I got to tell you, that is super light when you say this other school destroys human beings.
Right.
I keep saying that, and what you said, when you hurt people, when you leave things in rubble, this is next
more
level.
Than half the conference has used prominent programs to hurt people protected by powerful people in both athletics, university administration, and government.
Yeah.
It's at this point, how can you have a conscience and say go Big Ten?
If SEC schools, to your point you just made, Brother Dad, if the crime,
I need to cool down after that one. Oh, geez,
well, I was going to say that if the crime they're committing is lax academic standards, meaning some kids are going to college and maybe getting some money to play. Okay, are you like?
It's not the same.
You would have to dig to figure out a way that's hurting people, and now you've got over here where it's not hard to see how people are being hurt.
I want to do that. I want to say, hey, how fun would it be for Matt Campbell to finally find a landing spot at a good. I want to just talk about the football part of this, but the only like the coaching carousel part of this, and the only thing I can think of is like how stuff like this. I had such a fun weekend this weekend, and now I'm planning my fall weekends like a lunatic after getting just the first taste of it.
Little taste, yeah.
But it's stuff like this. It's stuff like Michigan State and Mel Tucker and all of the and Northwestern and Pat
Makes you feel
Fitzgerald.
dirty.
It's the thing that we prop up with this. And it's like we are lucky that Babinski's in charge, that Brahm came through, that it's Walters now. I'm hoping, crossing my fingers with Walters. We're lucky with Painter. Like we have people that aren't embarrassing this
Keep
way.
that stuff in mind when you're.
Well, here's a really interesting thing,
And we're
I
just
don't know if
we're just
everybody-
crossing our fingers and hoping that it stays, right?
right. One thing that think about the priorities and how, especially we get an earful of it, right? Matt Painter loses in the tournament. It's bad to lose to 16. We're not saying it's
Is it
good. Right. Yes, it is bad. Turns out,
I'm
yes,
being
it's
told.
bad. We're being told that yes, it still sucks. Okay, but the thing that the tone of some people's anger, right, makes it almost feel like you're on an equal footing with these things that happen at Michigan State. And then I go on an Instagram post, and a Michigan State fan will jump in and say something like, "Hey, this is okay. They made a bad decision signing for like $100 million, but they're going to be able to get out of it now." And I was like,
That's your
takeaway?
Absolutely. That's
You
absolutely.
were stupid by hiring a guy without much experience and re-signing him, okay? And then the positive is we can get out of this because he did something illegal.
I mean, it's a culture. Again, if this was just an isolated incident, then fine. But this is a now decade-long culture of a poisonous athletic department.
At least a decade, man. It's more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
The first case
Nasser was longer than that.
Other than outside of Nasser, 2009, there was a guy that he got in trouble over and over and over for attempted rape, sexual assault, and
it was basketball.
The rub.
Was it basketball?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Izzo, St. Tom. Yeah.
Right. And then you have the Appling Payne. That is such a filthy thing. And then you have a 3-man gang rape that are football players. This stuff, you're like,
it's just culture. It's in the water. It's in the water at this point. And here's the thing. Like, I make fun of Iowa because of the stuff. Exactly. We make fun of Nebraska on the foot. Like, nothing like this. I mean, Iowa, there's Iowa's on the other half of the thing where there is a racial and physical history of physical abuse there. That we've already seen.
Fortunately, they changed out the coaches. Oh no.
Right there, that's such a good point. Again, so Iowa, you say we got a problem. Okay, we're going to keep everybody here pretty much except for one guy. He was the whole problem.
Strength guy, right?
He's gone. All the problems are gone, right? Northwestern, you're like, okay, we got all these problems. And you're like, but they still managed to keep it somewhat in the family. Michigan State, they're going back to the filthy well. What the hell, guys? What the hell, fans? This is the thing. I know a lot of good people that are Michigan State fans, but he knows this. LBD sees my skin crawl when someone starts talking about Michigan State because I'm like, you're dealing with something much more serious. Right?
And let me tell you, and so for all of you other fans of other teams out there, to see if this would happen to Purdue, would Boiled Sports we have already talked about this. We've already mentioned this on the podcast. Like, if it is, we stay long enough to burn the entire place to the ground.
Yeah, we did discuss that. We'd hang around for a while to bring stuff to light. We would have a great time burning it down, and then that would be it. Then we would lock the doors and
because it doesn't matter more than using the thing that we love to harm people. That, it doesn't matter that much.
And there's that. So using this fantastic thing, bastardizing it, people getting hurt. That's like the low level, and there's an even lower level where you continue to do it and you continue to prop it up, and you can say it wasn't that bad. Like, to me, that's the thing. You haven't learned. No one's learned a thing about what happens and what's going to happen if you go and hire from the same people or continue to say, guys, nothing happened. Michigan State fans, if you listen to their cadence of what they say, They were making excuses for Tucker after this litany came out of what happened. And the fact that Michigan State knew since December about this.
Yep.
And they didn't do anything about it. That's another level, right? You're like, okay, we're waiting for the investigation. No, you've got your damn investigation. You've got everything you need to know. You're trying to wait until you see how good this team's going to be.
That's it. The more details.
Every time.
The more details of this that come out, it's like the more. It was funny because we, J Money and I were driving home as this was, as this was hitting, and all I could see on my, as my phone was plugged in, were messages from Michael, who was sending us the most recent things, the next paragraph in that story, and every detail further is just more and more insane. Here, let's take it to handle here so that we can hear. Question for Jay: in a utopian world where the Big Ten would kick out Michigan State, if that happened, would you rather invite Oregon State or Wazoo? Can only pick one. My answer is no. I refuse. We pick both.
I was just going to say why.
Yeah, why wouldn't you keep?
Why can we only pick one? And why is this to me? Because was I saying to burn it down more than others?
Why not?
Well, so that is a really tough choice, frankly. I like both of those programs, and it's why it is same reason you guys know why, because they're way more like Purdue.
Exactly. Screw
them. Than Purdue is like Oregon or right. They are the others look at them like, oh, we can beat Oregon State, and then Oregon State rises up and slaps somebody, and that's.
I think it's going to be great because
Wazoo taking great joy in beating Wisconsin.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so fun.
Well, I guess I'd pick Oregon State because I like the Oregon State hate, but the Washington, the Apple Cup's pretty good too. So, great. I mean, if I have to pick one, it's literally like a coin flip. I'd probably say Oregon State, but I don't have a good reason.
I would also kick out Oregon and Washington and bring in Oregon State and Washington State. That's what I would do. And
I have a good friend, and I'm not going to throw him under the bus here, but I have a good friend. I can't get any deeper in that. Who actually, he's a Midwesterner, and he teaches at Oregon, and he hates Oregon with a passion. And he's like, man, it's the worst. This place is awful. But he teaches there. He teaches a class, and
he doesn't even like it academically.
He doesn't like it at all. He said, this is like, you have kind of the rich kids that they're super entitled. They come in, they just expect, and he teaches a very interesting class, and they think it's an easy A. And he's like, I take this seriously. I'm teaching for a reason because I want to teach, right?
Yes.
And he gets the vibe that the students don't care at all. They're just all rich kids that are like, yeah, just give me my grade and let me leave. And he sees it over and over, semester after semester. So he's grown this deep hatred for Oregon, plus the fact you've got, just gobs of cash that come in, and it's changed everything very, very quickly. I'm like, I wouldn't mind, a little J money thrown my way. I'll be real honest. I'm not gonna curse somebody for that. I think it's gonna be great, guys. Seriously, this is something I want to get to. Yeah. Jay already has arrived. One day he's going to be I know this is ridiculous. I already know it's ridiculous, Jay. You know it's ridiculous. He's soon going to be a top tier donor. There's no doubt. And Anish has this tremendous potential because he's extremely smart and he's done some great things that when he gets something patented, like the first artificial human brain, both of them, we're going to join forces to create some fund, some foundation, and Purdue will become the Oregon of the Midwest because of their monies.
That's correct.
I cannot wait.
Many people would say the first artificial human brain is just the three of us kind of put together. So the handsome hour.
Yeah, right here.
I like how I'm just here for the money, but Anish is the brains of the operation.
Artificial.
What am I here for then, Jay? Nothing.
You're the Phil Knight, I guess. Of you got to design something.
Yeah, you draw.
Design a better Purdue cannon. And we're in business.
How about just a slightly larger Purdue cannon? Not an 18-inch long one, a 20.
Wouldn't it be great if you
smaller?
Would it be great if it was big enough that like the Boilermaker Special could tow it back to town?
That would be cool.
Like a howitzer.
Boom! As you're driving across the
man.
Yeah.
Well, they used to have a bigger cannon that they fired. Some of our pals here in the margins can remember this. There was a bigger cannon at one point they used to fire. At football games. It was terrifying. As a young kid, for me, like I wouldn't be paying attention. They do it. I'm like, oh no.
I would be it's in the Tiller Tunnel, which I'll make it for a couple games, this thing. But it looks like they have a platform where maybe the special could just park a can in there and just light it every now and then.
Right. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
One thing we didn't cover earlier because Dick Stillwagon's not here.
No, that's tough. It hurts. It hurts the show.
Well, I mean, I don't want to overlook the fact that if Purdue did not score the first 17 points of the game, they would have lost 17-7.
It's math.
Do I have that logic right? That's what he said last week. If Card didn't throw that long touchdown to Burks, then it's a much worse game. I know
math.
You thought it all had validity, but I don't want to play the stupid. There's so many ifs that if Purdue blows a 17-point lead, they blew a double-digit lead. So they've blown double-digit leads in both games.
Right.
So again, if you want to keep balancing out, doing the feedback sandwich, good and bad, there's plenty to work on, but it's good when you have stuff to work on after wins. Road wins against Power 5 teams. Now, Virginia Tech's not very good.
What's your prediction on Virginia Tech's record?
I would say what they did last year is probably, if they get to 4 wins, that's probably they probably should be, thinking that's decent because I think it's.
So neither of you guys you're gonna try to tell Joe Listener that because Purdue beat them, they're now great, and that's not the Boiled Sports.
No,
way.
I mean
we'll
they
tear them
are.
down.
I hope they do.
FSU, I think, is better than both teams. I mean, even though they went apparently again, we were in.
Fresno State.
But did you see the monstrous Eastern Washington team came to the Valley and gave them all they could handle, though?
Don't they play someone else legit this week, don't they? Fresno?
Probably. I'm sure the Fresno State fans that are tuned in can tell us. The really bizarre things, guys, is Fresno State people are still coming in and commenting after.
Hey, shout out to them, man.
They go to Arizona State this week, so they're playing major conference opponents,
schedule, man.
That's what you do with the.
Hey, easy there.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Not what. No. It's different. That's that. This is different.
Is that the shocker?
So, yeah, it's not the shocker. It's the.
You got to spread it.
The pitchfork.
What?
Are there any questions today, Jay? Did anybody give us
not much? Not much. Okay. We did get asked an interesting one. I did want to. We did get multiple requests for Anish to get an ISO to discuss Spice. You're welcome, everybody who asked about that.
I'll be honest. It took our fun-loving podcast kind of a very
but it was
needed place.
I'll burn it down, man.
Right.
Try to pull up the questions.
I'm trying to find it here, and of course it's. Here we go. The X machine was a little bit slow. Body Bowler Z Young asks, "Would you rather have hired?" This is really good. Boiler Dad's going to hate this. Would you rather have hired PJ Fleck or Coach Prime?
Prime.
Crap.
Prime. I agree.
Absolutely.
See. This is the thing. You guys have heard me rant about this off of the show.
I hate both of these guys, though.
I really do, but I think the long-term ramifications of Prime success.
Oh yeah, it's a.
Oh my gosh, I have all sorts of bad things just floating around in my head.
I mean, he's going to be there for 2 years until Travis Hunter leaves, and then he'll take the Texas A&M job or something.
By the way,
I can't stand Fleck, but I think Fleck is kind of like, I don't want to say harmless because I think that's silly to start saying. But kind of a harmless doofus. Like he's a clown show. He's a side.
He's proven to be a program builder.
Okay, maybe.
Oh, he's good. He's good.
What happened? Who is your next bet as to what the next kind of investigative scandal is that's
Just
going to come out?
We've already been given a little scent of it, right? That there might be something already happening.
Yeah.
So pass. Wholeheartedly pass on that.
By the way, on Colorado, I just want to prepare you guys. They're going to win again because they're playing Colorado State at home, so they're going to be 3-0, and they're going to probably be. They'll probably be top 15 when they win that game.
Probably,
but I think.
Yeah, and then you know where they go? They go to Oregon. It'll be a top 15 matchup.
My other meaningless rant is like Florida State won against LSU, and Texas won against Alabama. But neither of but I don't understand what are you ranking if it's not
Alabama gets beat by double digits in their own
yeah.
house, and they only drop to 10. Get the.
And Texas doesn't go to 1. So Texas should go to number 1 for beating a top 10 team.
They got the belt.
On the
Top
road.
4 team. I think Alabama was 4.
I mean, I don't understand this again, a meaningless rant, but it is what do you?
No, you do understand it. You understand the fact that the tie-ins with the networks. Here you go, Jay. The networks and the conferences are a major problem, and then you've got votes from the media defining who's highly ranked, and they have vested interest. It's really very simple at this point, right? And the funny thing is, if you listen to, I don't know if you guys done this yet. It's a ton of fun. Maybe you'll yell at the screen too. But if you listen to an ESPN game talk about Big Ten expansion, they are so stupid, the things they say. They make it sound like everything the Big Ten's doing is like the end of the world for college football. They're clutching their pearls. They can't believe the Big Ten has had the audacity to think about expanding. And the purity of the SEC would never, ever do this, right? When you all know they would sell their damn souls to get certain teams. Absolutely.
Texas. They got Texas and Oklahoma, which again, this is less important.
But these are the same a-holes that are voting, right? Yeah. So this is the whole thing.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. Florida State and Texas have the 2 most impressive wins of the season. Right. And if we're going to do something stupid like rank teams before week 4, those are the top 2. Because they have the 2 best wins right now. You want to put Georgia 3, that's fine. But because Georgia's played cupcakes. Speaking of team that has played cupcakes, Syracuse coming to town.
Hey, we haven't even talked about Syracuse.
What I would like to do is personally call out everybody who attacked BoiledSports.com for having Dino Babers, despite having a little bit of shaky seasons on the list and towards the friendly tier of the list.
Yes. Oh yeah.
When Purdue had the opening, we love Dino Babers. Yeah. Dino rocks. That team looks to be a lot better, even though they played nobodies. That team looks to be a lot better than we thought that they would be.
And he's doing it in Syracuse, New York. I don't think we can,
as a Hawaiian,
overstate. Right, just take the Hawaii job. Take it.
Just take San Diego.
They'll be in the Big Ten soon enough. Yeah. What are you doing?
See, we already talked about that.
Syracuse. Goodness.
Dino is so good.
Dino's very good. He loves Purdue. I was hearing the golden black guys talking about him, not the black guys.
I was going to say, hey, easy,
awesome.
Man.
Watching you tap the brakes to avoid the spin out was great.
Jackknifed on the road there, buddy.
Whoa.
Well, that's why I
it was great. It was awesome.
Jeez.
Mr. Corporate Guy knows how to handle a misspeak. He's good. Oh,
the awesome. Description is making me laugh. Tapping the brakes to avoid the spin out. I had turned into the skid, and then
you know how to handle this. That's poise right there. Poise under pressure.
Man, I have no idea what I was gonna say.
A Golden Black talking about Dino loving Purdue.
Oh, they were talking about him loving. Really, he really is fond of Purdue. He likes West Lafayette. I think one of his kids was born in West Lafayette, so he's excited. Let's hope he is just, looking up and just kind of starstruck by his surroundings.
Just loving West Lafayette.
Maybe I'm misguided here, but I think Purdue is going to exact some revenge, so to speak. I know that's a stupid thing when you talk about losses. Say, "Oh, revenge!" It's so dumb because half.
Well, let's leave. Somebody brought this up in the margins a little earlier, and I think it's fun to just jog our memory just a bit. The Syracuse game is the one last year where many Purdue fans thought the lack of discipline was absolutely the entire thing, right? And I think that's a fair.
A lot of it. Yeah,
it's a lot.
Purdue was punting on kicking off after a touchdown on our own 5 or whatever.
Right. And so many of the players that were really the tip of the spear last year that I think were ready to brawl are gone. Right? It doesn't feel. Am I wrong to say it doesn't?
Well, like it's the discipline we were talking about earlier is going to be there. this weekend.
Right.
Purdue's going to, you talk about that getting better from game 1 to game 2. This looks like a team where you can see things getting better. And that's kind of all you want, right? In the first year of a new regime with a lot of new players, you just want to see them getting, what did we say at the beginning? A fun season where you see progress, things get better. I liked what I saw from week 1 to week 2. I think it was a different kind of opponent, right? Fewer big plays, but that was because of the elements, honestly, I think. I mean, I think neither team had really big plays in the game this weekend.
Was the field coming up at chunks? Did we have any of that?
No.
It looked like it held together.
I think it held
No,
together
actually,
pretty well.
I honestly from our angle, the field didn't look too bad. Like it looked
those
like
fields
it
drain
really
well now.
Yeah.
I mean, and it did stop raining. I would say the heavy rain stopped probably about 4, and they didn't restart till after 6. So I think that is enough time to let it drain somewhat. But I just think they're going to keep getting better, and I just have this weird confidence. I just think a lot of things it's a sellout, it's a night game, Purdue's now got a win, so that's gone, right? That little bit of jitters or whatever it is, like, because if you were 0-2 and now you're facing 0-3, you're more. I don't know, but this coaching staff's going to be feeling themselves, I think. Oh man, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for Saturday.
The cupcakes that Syracuse have played.
They're bad.
You can't really play this down. And there's a transitive property thing I'm looking at right now. The opponents of their cupcakes that they've beaten up on, that's something you got to – they haven't been tested, okay?
No.
They haven't been tested at all. And their opponents haven't really been tested either. So there's not like a iron sharpening.
There's no way to figure out.
There's no way to tell. Yeah, exactly. You don't know how good they are. I
think they're good. I think they're better.
I do too.
Than
and they got the same
be.
quarterback, the Schroeder guy. He's back. And he's – both quarterbacks, they have 2 quarterbacks that have played significant amount of downs. It looks like are completing about 69% of their passes, which they did last year. But I think they're both like 68.7%, which is oddly specific.
He's going to be better than Wells, I'm pretty sure.
You think? Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. No doubt. Yeah. So I don't know how we say we know anything. This is the fun thing about early pre-con football. Is like, okay, you're just trying to piece things together off information you can't really come.
The last time Syracuse came to Purdue, I believe it was something like 59-7 or something like that. Yeah. 51. It was bad. It was awesome.
And Walters was asked if he had any kind of connection with Babers. He didn't, but what he did without prompting went out of his way to compliment Rocky Long, their defensive coordinator, and kind of went in like it's really fun because again, we're Purdue, we haven't thought about defense for a long time, and so it is really fun to hear Walters on his own nerd out about defensive concepts because I learn more and I try to kind of dive further into this, but he seems to have a lot of respect for Rocky Long's defense. But yeah.
How are you guys feeling? I've already made it very clear how excited I am and how I feel like I'm bullish on this game. I was not, as you know, on the Virginia Tech game, but I am. I've said from the start of the season, I was looking ahead to that Syracuse game.
I think this game, so people have asked the question, and you guys probably have seen in our comments and on Twitter as well, is this a must win? And I must win stuff talk is silly, but there are no must wins this season. Right? You're building something. Mm-hmm. Now, do we want them to go to bowl games? Sure. Is it the end of the world if they don't make the Pinstripe Bowl? Come on.
How dare you?
Come on. Yeah. Sorry, guys. No offense, Jim. But to get to 5 wins, to get to 6 wins, if you're that starry-eyed,
you gotta have it.
They gotta have this one.
If that's your kind of baseline, but again, for me, it's not. I think this is another coin flip one. I think Syracuse is going to come out pretty strong. Again, advanced numbers really like Syracuse that kind of use what they've brought back, along with they haven't really showed any weakness. But to your point, they played nobody, and they haven't been allowed to be exposed even a little bit.
Played 2 competitive teams, much more so than Syracuse.
Yes. You got a bowl team and another team that has, even if they're not playing that well, they still have dudes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Syracuse has played teams that have players that are underwhelming. Colgate, Western Michigan, the toothpaste, and a bottom half of the MAC team, right?
Right.
Yeah. The Western team is not good right now.
They're not good.
And so, I'm nervous. I think it'll be a close Purdue win. I think Syracuse opened as favorites.
They're still favored.
Okay.
Like 2.5, I think.
I think it is because the advanced numbers like them a lot right now. And again, it's just because they've shown absolutely no weakness in the first 2 games. I'm pretty sure they started the season something like 60th in the in advanced rankings, and now they're like top 25. Again, just because there's nothing to nitpick at, right? And so it's almost like they have a good coach. Kind of similar to the Fresno game, it has me a little bit nervous. I'll pick a close win, but like it's got me nervous.
I'm not. So here's the thing. I am not at all nervous because I think this is going to be a fun night. Like
It's gonna be
I just think
fun,
it's going to be a lot. Like this is Ross A lit on fire fun where night game. Everybody's going to be maybe had their favorite beverage before they come in, a Coca-Cola or a Yoo-Hoo. Those are 2 that I can think of.
These curves.
And so they'll be pretty ready to go. I think it's going to be a lot of fun just to be in the place to be in Ross 8. I mean, like I can't wait. So I'm excited about that.
So you're predicting fun.
I'm predicting fun. Exactly. That's my.
That's how both teams have fun.
That's all I care about.
It's like your daughter's soccer team. Just I hope both teams had a good time.
The other part that was fun was that the cottage that we had no internet, no phone, like no.
We got there. So let's back this up. Anish got there, actually not first. My sister-in-law got there first, got into the house, and put her bag in the house. Then left to go see her son, who's a senior at Tech. Anish then shows up, following the directions.
Rural Virginia, over on a gravel road in pitch blackness.
You turn off
over
a main
2
road.
bridges.
You turn off a main road and you go down a bumpy gravel road, like through a farm, and then you turn over a little rickety bridge, and then there's the house. And he's
there were roaming cattle on your property.
Yes, it was a cattle pasture. Yeah, it was a cattle.
Then he goes in, and then there's someone's possessions in the house.
And I'm like,
so now he's really questioning. And he's like, I'm in rural Virginia. Because I
I couldn't have no cell phone service. No cell phone service. I pick up the phone, no dial tone, no internet.
This is how a horror movie starts.
I'm done.
Oh yeah.
Then he went out to investigate the garage. There was a strange noise.
Right. It was a bunch of rusty tools hanging by chains.
Right. So
Can you put up Mr. Matt DSM's comment real quick? I just think
the real win were the friends we made along the way.
Yeah. Thanks. I just wanted to. That's right.
My wife got to see us get recognized. She's heard those stories, but I don't think she'd ever seen it in person.
What did she think? Was she disgusted by it, like Mrs. Boiler Down?
No, she was amused by it. Her sister was like trying to process it for quite a while.
Right.
I met another Anish. I was just talking to a guy, and we were like, we didn't know.
I said, how did you guys figure out you were both Anish? And he's like, well, we talked for a while. What did you say about Indian things? Didn't you say something?
Yeah, it's like I'd have to explain this whole thing to you.
You guys won't get it.
It's like,
And then finally, Who said?
5 minutes in, 5 or 10, whatever, minutes into the conversation, he was like, "By the way, I don't know your name," and I was like, "Anish," and he was like, "No, it's not."
No, it's not.
And I was like, "Wait a minute, is there another one?" Shout out Virginia Tech Anish.
And as we're standing talking to that guy, a couple people go by to say boiler up, and then they're like, "Wait, hey, World Sports!" I'm like.
There were about a dozen kind of people and or groups that we saw that were is great, man. Purdue had a good showing at
Purdue had a really good showing.
It was
really
great.
good. Oh, and you know what's also awesome too? I know we're running along now. We're almost at 90 minutes. Seeing the families of the players, and sometimes they're not even players whose names you're regularly hearing. Well, the family that was down and to our left a little bit, their son was I'm probably gonna say the name wrong. Bieber. Not Justin Bieber, but Biber. He's a number 82. Mm-hmm. He's like a backup tight end.
Yeah.
And he's a blocking tight end, right? Let's be honest. And what was awesome, what was so great was after one of the plays, I hear his mom go, "That was a really good block." I was like, that is the football mom right there. Yeah. She's watching. It's exactly what any of us would do. We're watching the game. She's watching her boy. Yeah, and she sees the block he throws. And the block. It was great. It was great. I love that stuff. And I said to Anish, I'm probably older than his mom. That's the best part of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this keeps happening. By the way, it's not getting any better. I don't know if you've figured that out.
That's how time works.
Time is it's relentless.
But it was very cool.
like an IU coach.
So we had to. I think I had to spend all of my Sunday catching up after I got back to Pittsburgh because we had no internet, no phone service.
Right.
No
Well,
cell phone
the house
signal.
did have internet, but it was broken. I should be clear. We should be clear here. They tried to provide it, but like if you had a Verizon cell phone, I'm not exaggerating. It had the little SOS, like no signal, no nothing at all. Just so we were
couldn't
driving
watch the
back.
end, yeah.
One of
after
the two biggest carriers in America, and you get the SOS thing on there?
We're driving
Man.
back after the game, and I'm streaming the Texas-Alabama game on my phone in the car, and we get within about a mile and a half of the house, gone. And we just basically we decided we were going to have to go get the paper in the morning to see what happened in the Alabama.
Did you do that?
No, but on my way, home,
yeah, Anish had a realization.
One thing I was thinking was like, how did people do this without all of this? And then I was like, wait a minute, we could have gotten a terrestrial radio and tuned into ESPN AM radio and huddled around it.
That's assuming that,
like a Great Depression family.
That's assuming that in those mountains you'd be able to pick up that station and that it would be playing the Alabama game, which I guess it would be because that was the biggest game of the night.
ESPN radio on AM channels. We could do that. AM
it travels,
radio,
especially
we could have been huddled
it's
around
really
a radio.
Weird.
We could have been huddled around a radio.
It would have been great.
Instead, we literally just went to bed. We couldn't listen to anything. We couldn't watch anything because the TV was on streaming only.
We were soaked we were like recently dried and exhausted, so we didn't.
I have not taken a hot shower during a football game that I was attending very many times. I can tell you that.
How many first quarters were 6.5 hours?
Yeah, Purdue's time of possession in the first quarter was
6.5 hours.
Massive, exactly.
This is how you win the game, Paul.
I love that third down. They come back and it was a sack right away.
Bang,
bad sack. Well, we waited for that. This is fun.
But it was a good. It was
more like Blackoutsburg. Am I right? Very good, Matt. Very good. Those are the kind of jokes I used to make relentlessly on Twitter, and people would.
And people, that's the best. Is like some people didn't get you were beating the heck.
Oh, it was so great.
So good.
Because Anish would play into it too. He'd be like, currently seeing how I can disassemble Twitter or something like that.
I think Elon solved that.
Right.
But Virginia Tech were great hosts. Purdue fans showed out. It was a fun Saturday.
You had heard that they were good fans, and man, we show up at the tailgate. First of all, big shouts to their tailgate setup too. You could be right by the stadium if you were just like at Purdue. If you were a big ticket holder donor, you could be right by the stadium. Obviously, we were in a lot in the heart of campus. Like
That's
right
great.
in the middle of
that.
campus where you could walk. I mean, you could see it. You could walk. You know, when you tailgate at Purdue, you're like 3 miles from civilization.
Right.
This was like, I'm not exaggerating, like a city block from coffee shops and breakfast places. And then but it was a big lot. That was $30 for the day.
Under a tree, cover of a tree, so it was cool.
We were in the shade. And then all the other people tailgating were super friendly, coming over to say hello and talk to us. And so the reputation, and both you mentioned this, that you'd heard, and the Tech fans you've experienced have always been, they legitimately
kindred spirits to Purdue.
Right? I think so, very much.
I ate breakfast with a bunch of Virginia Tech fans at a hotel because I was on a road trip, and they were awesome. Like they were all like excited. They had done their homework. They knew their stuff. They knew about their opponent. They were dialed in, ready to go to the game, and they were great. So.
Great teams. Andy Day says they love their teams, but they're realistic. Yeah. Hey, welcome to the Handsome Hour.
Yep.
92 minutes in.
Yep. Well, we got a lot of people. I think we've lost multiple people to go to bed. It shows how old our demographic is.
Well, I can't.
We've
blame
said
them.
it before.
I'm already thinking about it. Yeah, it's a lot, man. You have a day that long, and you drive round trip 15 hours, and you have your whole family with you. There's a lot of factors there that add to the fatigue factor. I hate to admit it, but I still have it in me. And
my wife used to always say, "Getting out in that fresh air makes you tired." All that fresh air. I was like, "What? All that fresh air makes you tired?"
It's the recycled air. That's the good air.
That's exactly the fresh
air. All that
should...
oxygen.
Yeah, you don't need that oxygen.
I'm so tired. Fresh air. I've heard that's an old lady kind of statement.
It totally is. It totally is. Yeah. So stay out of that fresh air. You'll sleep like a baby. Well, it's been fun. Thanks again to our sponsors.
Home Field
and AJ's. They're great. I look forward to, maybe I'll see a couple of you guys at AJ's this coming weekend for the Syracuse game. A lot of fun.
Are you hosting a tailgate this weekend?
Kinda.
I just because you shared with everyone that we were going to
Right.
Tech, I didn't know if you were going to. Okay, okay.
I didn't really let that fully out of the bag, did I?
On the podcast, you did. That's okay though. It was fine.
Sorry.
It's all in good fun.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
But we do appreciate everybody tuning in. We do. I appreciate my co-host. I can't remember right now. Jay and Anish, it's been a pleasure, and everybody tuning in live and listening on delay. Love you guys. Good night.